What if I told you that you do not need a medical degree to own a business that does, on average, $1.8 to $2 million a year in revenue? And what if I told you the owner of that business takes home on average between $300,000 and $500,000 a year? Now, this isn't some fantasy, it's actually the reality of the medical spa industry today. But there is a huge misconception about who can actually get a piece of this $25 billion pie, right? Most people think that they have to be a doctor. They're wrong. There are two types, and only two types of people who can successfully own a med spa. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly which one you are. So, who are those two people? First, you have the practitioner. This is the obvious one. The doctor, the nurse practitioner, the physician's assistant, and they have the medical license and the clinical skill. For them, opening up a med spa is a natural extension of their expertise. They want to build a legacy, have more autonomy and escape the hospital system, and their advantage, of course, is their medical authority. But then you also do have a second person, the one that nobody talks about, the entrepreneur. This is the real estate investor. This is the business executive, the marketing person, the person who just sees a massive business opportunity and knows how to build systems and knows how to build businesses. They don't necessarily have a medical license, and they definitely do not need one. Why? Because they understand a critical secret about this industry. A medical spa is two businesses in one. There's the medical practice, which handles the needles and the treatments, and then there's the business engine, which handles everything else: the marketing, the sales, the client experience, the finances, the operations. And as an entrepreneur, your domain is the business engine. You do not need to know how to inject Botox. You need to know how to build a machine that gets clients in the door and of course gives them a world-class experience. Now, you might be thinking, isn't it illegal for a non-doctor to own a medical practice? And in many states, yes it is. And this is actually because of something called the Corporate Practice of Medicine, or CPOM. Conceptually, all of this says that medical decisions must be made by a medical professional. It's a firewall designed to also protect patients' safety. And it ensures that a business owner can't tell a doctor to cut corners or use a cheaper, less effective product just to save a buck. So how does the entrepreneur legally own a med spa, you might ask? Well, they actually do it through a structure that respects that firewall. The most common and effective model is the Management Service Organization, or MSO. Here's what that actually means, and without getting into the weeds of how do we set it up and all of that, but imagine two separate, legally distinct companies. First, we have the medical PC. This is the professional corporation, and this is owned by a licensed physician. They are in charge of all clinical activity, right? They hire the nurses, they oversee, keyword, the treatments, and they're the guardians of patient safety. They hold the medical liability. And number two, the MSO. This is your company. This is the business engine. You, the entrepreneur, owns this. You, or your MSO, provides all the non-medical support to the PC. This includes the branding, the marketing, finding the location, building the website, running the ads, managing the front desk, handling the billing, everything that makes the business run and grow. Everything non-medical. And your MSO has a long-term service contract with the doctor's PC. The PC pays your MSO a management fee for providing all of these critical business services. And this is how you, the non-medical entrepreneur, generates revenue and profit from the med spa success, all while staying 100% compliant. This is not a loophole, by the way. This is the established and correct and defensible legal structure for non-physician ownership in the medical field. This is super common. Now, understanding the structure is the first step. The next question is always, what does it actually cost to set up something like this up? Well, people see the $2 million a year revenue number and assume that it costs you millions of dollars to get started. It really doesn't, right? To help you understand the real numbers, I've actually put together a med spa cost breakdown guide, and this will give you all the details about the typical startup costs from equipment, legal fees, marketing, payroll for the first few months. And there's no fluff, just the numbers that you need to know. So what I want you to do is go click the link down below in the description. It's completely free. It is what and the why of the med spa finances, so that you can see the opportunity for yourself. So there are two paths to owning a multi-million-dollar med spa. It's the path of the practitioner and the path of the entrepreneur, right? One leverages the medical skill and the other will leverage their business skill. Both are super valid. Both are incredibly lucrative. And the barrier to entry for the entrepreneur is not a medical license. It's having the right knowledge and the right structure. Now that you know who can own a med spa and the conceptual framework that actually makes it possible, our next video will actually dive into the more critical part of that structure, right? The more and most critical part, the legalities. It's the compliance, it's the specific business entities that you need to know about. And we'll actually talk about the biggest mistakes that people make that can get them fined or even shut down. Subscribe so you will not miss this. And do not forget to download that free MedSpa cost breakdown from the link in the description. See you in the next video.